Hey, in this video, we're going to go over how we helped a multi-seven-figure retail apparel company in New Mexico improve their profitability, be able to figure out the margins of their specific product lines, and be able to scale for the future in a profitable manner. Let's get into it. Hey, let's dive into this case study of a multi-seven-figure retail apparel company in New Mexico. Came to us to join one of our academy programs where we help small business owners better improve their financial understanding, improve their profitability, and set them up to scale in a sustainable way. So this is a breakdown. So I want to go through. Obviously, they are in retail. They sell things like workwear, boots, and lifestyle apparel, in particular to like trades business type of folks. And they've got 2 brick and mortar stores in New Mexico, and they've got a team that's a mix of hourly W-2 across the different stores in their different locations in New Mexico. So what were some of the challenges they were facing when they came to us? Well, they had unclear payroll and staffing costs. This is a pretty common thing that we see. We have multiple stores with different staffing patterns and hourly wages, so to kind of really understand, hey, what's going on with the actual cost to run this in terms of staff. So there was an easy way to project payroll by location or see how raises might affect total costs. So we had employees who were looking for raises, and we were trying to figure out, hey, can we actually afford that or not? 2, unstructured purchasing and inventory planning. So big seasonal buying decisions without clear spending ratios. So they would have to buy big amounts of apparel in bulk and then be able to try to figure out, hey, how are we going to be able to, what's that going to look like in terms of revenue coming in, what we expect seasonally, to be able to sell the product. And we couldn't tell if purchasing matched revenue or was tying up cash in slow moving stock. So last sort of big challenge they were facing was they didn't have margin visibility by product categories. This is huge. So apparel, boots, and lifestyle items were all lumped together. So if you're running a big store, think about, you would want to, ideally really want to know, hey, which type of apparel is most profitable? What sells the best? Boots, right? If you're, what type of boots sell the best? What type of lifestyle items are going to sell the best? And which within those categories, right? We're selling multiple products within those categories. Boots, for example, I'm sure we're selling 10, 20 different variations of those. Which are actually the most profitable? Which sell the best? And what can we expect in terms of total sales? And so there wasn't a lot of data showing which product lines were actually driving the profit in the business. So what did we do to implement what kind of plan did we implement and how has this helped them? So the first thing was we did payroll forecasting and staffing plan. So we built a payroll projection tool tied to hourly rates and store assignments. And then we created a rolling monthly forecast to plan hiring and wage adjustments confidently. So it's a big thing, but if we don't know when we can actually afford to hire, and especially if you're in a seasonal business, knowing that you're going to need more labor during certain periods of the year versus others, you really need to be able to forecast when are you going to need to hire that extra labor, what can you afford, and how much do you need, for example, to save in reserves ahead of time, knowing that that's going to happen and we're going to need to hire. And so the second thing was purchasing power trackers. So we built a purchasing to sales ratio model to monitor spend versus inventory turnover. And we helped forecast purchasing needs based on historical revenue trends. So we took their revenue we took their historical data of revenue, so year over year for the past several years. We're able to look at trends of, hey, when do we make the most amount of purchases? To what degree are we seeing trends, seasonality of when this is happening? And then we also we implemented our margin matrix 3.0 system. This is where we actually get into the nitty gritty of going by per product line, per service line, in this case product mostly, and really narrowing down on what is the profit margin per individual product that we're selling. We mapped out year-to-date sales, units sold, average selling price, and cost per unit, and we were able to reveal the true gross margin by category and highlighted underperforming lines. So we were able to look at lines that we believed might have been profitable, but once we got into it, they weren't as profitable as, say, other category lines that we had. We were able to make decisions. Do we want to keep selling them? Do we want to sell less? Where do we want to put them in the store if they're not performing as well as other items that we're selling? Then we did a multi-store P&L cleanup. So we combined the P&Ls by location to give leadership one clear view of total revenue and costs. So instead of having them separate and being able to see store by store, which is important, but it's also from an owner standpoint, from a global level, to see, hey, how are both doing individually, but how are they doing together? And we separated cost of goods sold, labor, and overhead per store for accurate comparison. So really being able to give a true insight into which store is performing better and by how much. And then we did cash management systems. So we built dedicated accounts for taxes, loan payments, and personal draws. So we see this as a huge problem for a lot of small business owners. We've plenty of clients doing multiple seven figures who still run most of most all of their cash through one business checking account, and you can certainly get by with it. It's not a right or wrong, but we've just found that building a system where you can have multiple checking accounts, can dedicate cash into for tax savings, for loan payments, for draws, just really gives you better visibility and bucketing to be able to see how much money are we setting aside for each. And it keeps us from pulling from one account thinking that, well, I've just got a ton in there, it'll be great. Not really dividing it to see how much needs to go into what place. And so then we standardize transfers and payment timing to avoid cash crunches as well. So those are some of the big things that we did. At the end of the day, it's like, hey, was this worth it for them, right? So in our academy, signing up for that. So they're doing, multiple seven figures. So even if just on like 1 million of those annual sales, if we were to help improve 2% on their margins, that's going to be a 20K a year in profit improvement, and they're doing much more than that. So we're looking at, can think of 20K of profit per million a year that they're doing in sales. And then we improved purchasing discipline, and that prevented overbuying, which is freeing up around 20 to 40K in cash flow. So that's a huge deal, right? Instead of overbuying, thinking, wow, I just think I know what we're going to need, versus, hey, here's the data, here's what we need to do, and we don't need to buy as much based on historical findings. They're able to have more cash on hand, so 25 to 40K in terms of cash flow, which is huge if you're a small business. And then payroll forecasting saved about 10 hours a month in just manual reporting, so having to manually report payroll forecasting, so we're able to save around 10 hours a month. And then category level margin tracking identified which were the high margin lifestyle lines that could be scaled. So as we're putting more, let's say, marketing efforts into attract more clients in the door, we're going to obviously want to go after those higher margin lines that sell well and we can scale. So what's next for them? Well, we're going to continue refining the margin matrix by subcategory, so even diving deeper into specific types of boots and the lifestyle apparel that we're selling. We're going to finalize a 2-year purchasing projection model. We're going to use store level P&Ls to create benchmarks for profitability per location. And then the last thing we're going to be doing is strengthening inventory turnover targets and reinvest freed up cash into high performing products. So this is our case study on a multi-7-figure retail apparel company in New Mexico. A couple of huge takeaways for us on this one. One, having the ability to be able to see both P&Ls for each store, and then being able to see that globally. How are they each doing individually, and how are we doing total as a company? 2, being able to actually look in on what are the margins per product line. So in this case, getting to at least to the category level of the different products that we're offering, and being able to see which ones are most profitable, which are least profitable, and then being able to structure our purchasing and inventory planning so we're not overbuying or underbuying, causing us have to react and then buy even more on a short notice, or overbuying and have to just hold inventory that's eating up cash flow that we just don't need, and it's going to take a long time to turn over. So there's some of the big things, freeing up tons of cash flow for them, being able to be more profitable and scale up. So I hope you enjoyed this case study. If you enjoy learning about small businesses, how we're helping them improve their financials, then just follow us here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and you'll see a ton more of these kind of case studies. Thanks so much.